but you can't figure out what my favorite color is. Ow, cramp! What's up, guys? My name is Moo. I'm a college student who loves reading, and I am here to share my love with all of you. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. It is one that I've been thinking about doing for a couple weeks, and I finally decided I would sit down and record. So back in elementary and middle school, I was definitely a series person. I wanted multiple books in the same universe so that I could know as much information about the characters as possible and just live in the world as long as I can. I'm not like that now. I like single books so that I can just read them quickly and say, that was a good universe, bye. But back in elementary and middle school, I just ate up those series as fast as I could. So I'm going to share with you my favorites that I think hold up now as I'm an adult. And yeah, if you want to check them out, you definitely should, because I think they're the best. We'll go from least well known to most well known, because I'm sure that everyone has heard of at least 2 out of the 3 of these, but the third one, anyone I talk to, almost nobody knows what it is. So I'll talk about that first and tell you about it and hopefully get you interested in it so I have more people to talk about it. And then, yeah, we'll just go along that line. The first series that I want to talk about is actually a manga. I'm not someone who's super into anime or manga or anything like that, but I've dabbled in my fair share, and there's stuff I like I like Death Note. I like that I can only think of one anime that I've liked, but Death Note is cool. Anyways, this video is not about Death Note. This video is about my favorite series, and one of my favorite series is called Lovecom by Aya Nakahara. Ha! I said it right. Now, I am a romance enjoyer. I'm not a big fan of the romance genre because I don't like the tropes in there, but I do like books with good romance. And this series, so good. This is set in the early 2000s, and it follows Risa Koizumi, who is a high school student, and Atsushi Otoni, who is also a high school student, same age, same school, all that. I said that in the American order, and I understand that it would be swapped in Japan, but that's how I said it, and I will change it up next time. Right now I will be referring to them as Koizumi and Otani because that's what they call each other throughout most of the series. But yeah, without further ado, I will talk about it. So this story is kind of enemies to lovers. They're not like enemies, but they definitely don't like each other. And it is between a short boy, Otani, and a tall girl, Koizumi. Otani is 5'2", which, yes, is pretty short for guys and, you know, people in general. But Koizumi is 5'7". And I know this is set in Japan, but as an American, it's kind of funny to me that 5'7" is considered crazy tall, you know? Obviously, the height average is shorter there. It is just funny to me as a foreigner to hear 5'7" and go, whoa, that's crazy tall! Ah! And yeah, so sorry for making fun of that, but it's just something that makes me laugh. So yes, it is a trope. It is a tall girl and a short boy, and all this chaos ensues, and they have a grand old time, and it's just a really cute story. And banter, I love banter. It's some of my favorite. I've written so much where it's like, you know, banter, whatever, because that's just how I show my love. I'm mean to people and I hit people. And I know that sounds bad from an outside perspective, but I'm not like hurting them. It's just like small things like that on the arm very lightly. It's just that's just how, and it's obviously the people consent to it. I'm going off on a tangent. This is about the book. There are 17 volumes in this series. It is out of print, so you're probably going to want to go to a library unless you want to spend a ton of money on this series. I haven't even gotten the entire collection yet because I don't have the money for it, but someday it is my goal to get all 17 of these copies because my goodness, I love this series so much. I've probably read it at least 6 times, if not more. I found it in my 6th grade library, and I have debated multiple times of going to the library and see if they'll sell me the books because that's how desperate I am to own this series, but I haven't done that. I'm still working on collecting all of these, and yeah, I just love this series. It's just your stereotypical high school romance between a tall girl and a short boy, and it's kind of enemies to lovers and like banter and all that. Just really funny, really chaotic, very sweet at times, and it's just everything I love in a book. Next, and you probably saw this coming because I have already said in multiple videos that I read this series, is Warrior Cats. Love of my life right here, Warrior Cats. And I know that sounds kind of weird to say that, you know, the love of my life is a book series, but you know what? I don't got many other options right now, so for now. I started reading these books in 4th grade, and I stopped reading them in about 7th grade, but I picked them up about a year ago, and I haven't been able to put them down since. I feel like everybody knows about Warrior Cats, but if you don't, I'll just give you a brief summary. In this universe, there are 4 clans living in the forest. There is Thunder Clan, River Clan, Shadow Clan, and Wind Clan. They all live and coexist and all that, but sometimes they don't get along, they fight. But there is an entire civilization within these 4 clans. You have government, you have hierarchy, you have religion. It's very odd, but it's just so fun. And you have kitties. The entire reason I have these guys is because of Warrior Cats. I loved cats so much that I begged my parents for over 2 years to get me a cat. And now I have 2. He's fine, don't worry. But yes, I am just absolutely obsessed with this series. I can read a book. Move. I can read a regular length Warriors book in a day. I do read fast, but it's lightning speed with these things. It's so easy to read, and it's just wonderful, and I love the universe, and I love cats, and the prophecies are cool, and the battles are cool, and all the characters are fun. And yes, there are over 90 books in the series. I think last time I checked there were 107, but it's worth the read for me. I have 5 shelves of books. The bottom 2 are dedicated to Warriors alone. I just love this series. I want to make like Pokemon and collect them all, and yeah, this series is great. If you like battling kitties in a forest setting, which is a really cool setting, and I might be biased because I live near a forest, but I just love forest settings in general, you will love this book. Also this version of the book is out of print, but the art that they used to do, gorgeous. Unfortunately, Wayne McLaughlin, who did all these covers, did pass away, and that's why that they had to rebrand and create new covers so that they could be consistent throughout the entire series. But while he was alive, he made amazing artwork, and I will always favor the old books over the new books. The series started before I was born in 2003. I was born in 2004, so it's a year older than I am, and they're still releasing multiple books a year. Aaron Hunter is like 6 different authors, so those books pump out quickly, and I don't know, I just love all of them. I've only read like 80 of the 107 books, but I'm working on finishing the rest of the series. I'm doing it in chronological order right now. I may do a more in-depth video once I'm done with the entire series, but while I will not do individual book reviews on this, I can't create a book YouTube channel without talking about this series, because while I loved reading before this series came into my life, this just propelled it onto a different level, and I can thank my love of reading and my ability to read as well as I do now to this series. Last but not least, as I'm sure a lot of you on BookTube have read, is The Selection by Kiera Cass. And I may be biased because I'm a redhead. Hers is a little darker than mine. But I love this book. People have described it as The Hunger Games meets The Bachelor, and I have ran with that the second I saw it. On copies I've seen before, that statement was written on the back. On this copy, which is I think my third copy because it has been lost or destroyed multiple times by other people, it is not on this copy. This is my third copy. It is not on this one, but I know I've seen it on others. Maybe it's on a different book in the series. All I know is I've seen it somewhere, took it, ran with it. Hunger Games meets The Bachelor. Amazing book. I have read this book 13 times. 13 amazing times. I first found this book at a Girl Scout camp. A Girl Scout camp I actually still go to as a volunteer. I do archery. But I first found this book at a Girl Scout camp, and I read almost all of it in 1 week, but I didn't have much time, so I didn't finish it. But I bought it the month after, and I read it in 1 day. I read the entire series in a weekend. It's a trilogy. I pretend the last 2 books didn't exist. I don't like them. It's a trilogy. It is a trilogy, just so you guys know. I read the trilogy in a weekend and fell in love with it, and I've read this book individually 13 times since then. Like always, I apologize for cat noises. It's just gonna happen. They don't speak English, so I can't tell them not to, and I feel really bad that there's noise in the background, but I can't tell cats what to do. Hi. Anyways, this book centers around America Singer, who is 16, I believe. They're all 16. No, she's 17. She's 17. That's a little different. They're all 16 in all those books, but this is 17. She's 17. This is going above and beyond. That's crazy. To be fair, this was a pretty original book when it came out, and there have been a lot of copies afterward. But this was a very original concept, and maybe, yes, it is The Hunger Games meets The Bachelor, so that kind of defeats it saying it was original, but I think it was. So it follows America Singer, who lives in a post-World War III version of North America called Ilya, and she is one of the lowest castes out there. She is a 5, which means she is right above the poverty line. She doesn't make a lot, but her family makes ends meet. They're doing okay. She's destined to be an artist her entire life. Depending what caste you're in is what your career is, and it's this whole thing that is convoluted. Read the book. You'll figure out if you read the book, and I highly recommend you read it. Anyways, the selection is happening, which is when the prince comes of age. 35 women, each selected from one of the 35 provinces, gets selected to go to the palace and fight for the heart of Prince Maxim. You see where it's coming from? There's the post-apocalyptic dystopia that is The Hunger Games matched with all these women fighting over a man, The Bachelor, all that stuff, whatever. It's better than The Bachelor, it's better than Hunger Games, and I'm saying that as someone who likes Hunger Games, so it's so much better than all of that. She goes, well, I don't want to fall in love with the prince. And what happens? She falls in love with the prince, obviously. But I think that she is written really well, and while she is I'm not like other girls' character, it doesn't shine through that much. It's not like oh, other girls want to do this and I like this. She does stand out as being someone that's like different than the crowd, but it's not like explicitly told to you multiple times that she's not like other girls. She just is, which I'm okay with. I like this because it's slightly standoffish strangers to quick friends to close friends to lovers, and I just think that progression is cute. It depicts a healthy relationship, which I will always love more than any of the toxic drama and all those tropes that are out there. This is romance, in my opinion, done right. Obviously it is young adult. I read it for the first time when I was 12. Still holds up now, of course, but it still is young adult. Still, like, my mom read it and she's not, you know, a teenager. I think it's awesome. I think the cover is beautiful. I dressed up as her one year because, I don't know, as a redhead, I'm very biased towards redheads because there's not too many of us in the world, so when a redhead character happens, I go, oh, that's me! I'm her! And I definitely related to her. I thought she was cool. So it's a great progression. The pacing is really good. It fills up the trilogy well. You don't feel like there's much dead space, even in like the middle book or anything like that, and I know that that can be very difficult for a lot of writers. So the series is really good. It's a trilogy. It's wonderful. The Selection, the Elite, and the One are just, and the cover is beautiful, and I don't know, it's just ahead of its time. I think it's a trendsetter because you've seen things after that are definitely a way to capitalize on the success of the Selection, but I think that this is the best of the best, and there's a reason why it's my favorite series. There's a reason why I've read it 13 times. There's a reason why I recreated the scenes using Legos and reenacted it while reading the book. I know. I love this series. It's one of my favorites. I'm sure many of you have read it, but if you have not, pick it up. It is amazing. It is wonderful. And maybe I'll do an extensive review on it someday because I love it that much. Maybe I'll do one on Lovecom too. I said I would do one on Warriors once I finish all the books in that series. Maybe I'll do a monthly thing with a book that I've already read because the last ones that I've been doing are just books that I had just read for the first time and we're reviewing right off the bat. So maybe I'll finally get on the Selection and Warrior Cats and Lovely Complex because they're my favorite series ever and I just love to make videos about them someday. With that being said, we have come to the end of the video. If you liked it, consider liking. If you like the content I put out, consider subscribing. Comment your favorite book in a series below because I've already done series. But yeah, with that being said, this has been Moo. I hope that this video wasn't too much of a ramble because I really felt that, especially near the end, I was rambling. But I don't know, this has been Moo. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye! And I have to...